the show after the show, Poor Decisions, where we get a little bit honest around our poor decisions. And I really hope the ongoing theme is not the stupidity of how I have spent money over the years. That is my, that is my really, really, really big goal. But I want to introduce this whiskey that I chose specifically for yourself. My wife actually bought this for me a few years ago. So Isles of Bay. Please sponsor us. No. I actually bought myself another bottle today, this morning, because I needed to buy I've got a special bottle coming for another episode soon, because I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to, this next person coming. I was like, I know what's going to be used so perfectly. I didn't have it, so I've gone out and bought it. But I was like, I'm going to get another one of these. It's called Sweet Smoke. And so William Grant and Sons, do you know who they are?
No.
They're the Glenfiddich guys.
Oh,
so
okay.
Glenfiddich is owned by a
know.
company, William Grant and Sons, the largest family-owned company in the world, I believe is the story.
Wow.
My understanding, may or may not be true, is that the distillers around the place at Glenfiddich were getting a bit shitty with their reputation. Glenfiddich, Speyside, boring, nothing crazy. They owned Isles of Bay as a distillery, and they went, hold our beer. And so what they did is they got the Sweet Smoke. So you've got specifically a scientifically controlled process around sweetness and smokiness combined to make this incredible bottle. And the reason I chose it for you is the analysis and intelligence behind it. I was like, this is Riley all day, every day. And then just the family-owned nature of finances and Glenfiddich and everything. I was like, yeah, this is the Riley episode. Poor Decisions. So this is legitimately one of my favorites because you get very boring whiskey sometimes.
Absolutely.
You've bought me some Japanese whiskey, so I'm not going to poo-poo that because it is a delicious one.
But there's a lot of for everyone.
No, but there's a lot of kind of. I think Irish whiskey does this a little bit, where they just get a little bit kitschy and kind of too pure. They're like all just about the perfect distillation process, and it just kind of doesn't hit. I'm like, all right, it's whiskey. It's all cool. It tastes like ethanol.
Yeah.
Like that really over. Yeah. And like it doesn't. Don't hate me. But yeah.
And I think while you pour that, to let you know, I at the time was a really big fan of Japanese whiskey. I was drinking Nikia by the barrel, I believe. And anyway, I went through that fad and now I have come back to my origins a bit more. But this, I'm excited for this. It's a treat. Thank you.
And Bindi, you are off shot. Say hello. You're having some too, I believe. Come on. You got to taste it with us.
I'm going to come out of this enjoying whiskey. So.
It is the sub goal.
Good thing I'm not left-handed.
Bindi does not like whiskey. This I was going to be very interested with.
I may have got ahead of myself last week. I really liked.
Yeah, I went in. I mean, I did pick that one for you last week, which is actually coming out after this episode. But yeah.
Right. It also could be that I don't have ice. Maybe ice is what I need.
Oh, do you not have ice? No, you definitely need ice on this one. Maybe a bit of water. So I went the Glencairn because I can add a dash of water. So I have a taste, nose it, smell it, add a dash of water, weaken it, like a little straw to add like a purr thing or whatever they're called.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm so glad you weren't listening when I said that then. But yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You like it?
Yeah, and I normally go without the ice. It was purely just, I saw the beautiful cup as well and I went, no, I think I want ice. And I saw you making the big squared ice.
Mate, man cubes is what I call them.
Yep.
I actually need to bring, I've got some spherical ice makers.
Yep.
Not all of us have fancy fridges who make spherical ice, but
definitely not.
Yeah. She's got a microphone. She's not. You.
Sorry, I'm trying not to bite at everything.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to get you to bite at everything I say.
Riley, I have a fancy fridge. My fridge makes whiskey ice, and I don't drink whiskey.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's all about balance.
What did you think of the episode, Bindi?
I really loved it. My first thought, probably 30 seconds in, is that Riley's very smart. Very, very smart.
Is that directly after I stopped talking?
I think it's fascinating. It's just been so great to sit here and watch you, Riley, just explain concepts that are so outside the box, but in a way that's so clear that even I can sort of keep up with it as you're speaking. So I've never seen a financial planner be so engaging. My experience with financial planners has been very different. So
have you dealt with any since leaving Branchland? Yeah. It really opened my eyes post-bank that, there weren't the boring people that sat out the back of a branch.
Yeah.
And personally, I mean, I really love approaching life with sort of set out deliberate moments and then a lot of time in between that just living. And I think the couples exercise that you went through, that you did with Danielle, I think that fits so effortlessly into, the way that I like to live my life, but has a huge impact on, how you work as a team, as you said. And I think that's so important. But also, you're really focusing in on that compromise, and it's almost like a calibration, which I love. So yeah, that was really, really good to listen to.
No, I appreciate that. I didn't say this after the podcast, but I'll obviously just say it now. We actually had a client once email us after that session and say that they were breaking up. Now, I know that's a really tough thing. It's not a nice thing to have. This was many moons ago, but sometimes that actually could be a good outcome because we're just floating through life. But what you're saying there and setting goals and working with partners and all that sort of stuff, our greatest asset is time. I'm never going to get yesterday back. And if we just kick the can down the road for another 10 years, you're not going to get it back. If I'm lucky, I'll have 50 years with Danielle. If I'm lucky, right? So if we want to waste the next 25 and the next 25 is going to be in good health, right, I'm not going to get it back. So, and same thing for everybody that's listening in. Make the most of it while you can. Yeah.
And just lastly, I was dying at that makeup sale story.
I knew it.
Absolute goals. I was like, everyone, write this down.
I got all the wrong colours. I brought it back and she's like, am I see-through? One see-through, the next one she's a bright orange. So we had to take them back, but it was the thought that counts.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely.
I'm just gonna start bringing random makeup home.
That's right.
Oh goodness, the whole team, all the women in my team rock up there. It's the thought that counts, guys. I bought you. You would kill me. Yeah. I don't think I would survive how much crap Bindi would give me if I brought the business. Everyone. Oh goodness. I think honestly, best outcome if you can't have that goals discussion. It's obviously I think don't break up, but try and figure out what the thing beneath the thing is. Is there something that's killing you? But if you're just going, hey, there's not even compromise. It's I don't want kids. I want kids. Lay
it out now.
Yeah. Yep. It's let's live life with people we want to do the similar things. And Anna and I don't have the same interests.
Neither do we.
Yeah. And I don't think that's necessarily important, but being able to have discussions around goals and things that you want to experience, and that's important. So
the long-term values and rough idea of what you want life to look like in 10 years, if they're even closely aligned, you're all good to go.
Yeah.
In the short term, you're going to want to do your hobbies and your career and vice versa. It's just getting it out on the table so there's no surprises for your partner when you say, I want to start doing podcasts with Alex, for example. What do you mean you want to do that? So, it's important.
Anna was not surprised by this.
Neither was Danielle.
No.
All right. Well, in the spirit of poor decisions, we'll start with what was the worst financial decision you've ever made?
Yeah. I'm very, very lucky, and you didn't ask me this in the podcast. So I didn't really go into my childhood, but I'm very lucky that I got punched in the face with this sort of stuff when I was 10, 11 years old. So
I missed you going childhood or not. I clicked after we'd moved on.
Yeah.
That I should have said childhood because that was the origin story.
Yep.
So yeah,
I'm a blokey bloke, so I'd prefer just to bottle that up until it explodes one day. So that works well.
That's just wisdom.
But in terms of biggest financial mistake, been very, very lucky that I haven't made humongous ones. There were things that I wish I did better, like spend more on property and things like that. But I'd categorize it into two. The first one, and this is just joking because I'm sure everybody can actually relate to this. When I was 16, I had a girlfriend who I thought I was going to marry at the time. Sorry if you're listening. And as soon as I got access to my bank account, I emptied the whole thing. Because I was the dork that mum and dad brought the clothes for. So no, I emptied the whole thing, went to Robina Town Centre and spent every single dollar on doing that wardrobe. Obviously, the impacts of that are extremely small at the time. But when you've got your heart set on it, you're just going to go.
Such a similar story, but slightly different. So my worst financial decision, I had another one. So it's good that you're bringing up another one because I'm going to run out. I probably won't run out. I got a lot. I will.
Yeah,
I will.
It's all for the content.
Babe, look what I bought. It's a Chevy Silverado because I need it for the podcast. I'm a mortgage broker that drives 4 minutes, but I can't not have a V8. Oh, goodness. I would love an electric vehicle at the moment, actually.
I'll buy a Mustang.
No. Actually, it's out of warranty, yeah.
Yeah.
So I got access to my Dolomites account. It was good. I'll save my
That's what
car
mine
first.
was.
Yep, I know. Everyone in this room had a Dolomites account. Some of our sad parents that worked at Combank. I would say, sorry, Bindi, I wish this was on camera. So I put, for everyone playing along at home, I put the ice, and as I was doing this, I was thinking in my head, we need an ice bucket or like some sort of fridge in here.
This is getting out of hand, the whiskey side of
Yeah.
this. But.
And so Bindi wanted some ice, but the ice being ice has melted and fused together, which I knew because I put Riley's in there. It was really hard. Yours is directly under the aircon as well with air movement. So she's just picked up 2 pieces of glass, a piece of ice, and dropped it into her glass. So the whiskey to glass ratio is horrendous right now. But no, I got access to my Dolomites account. Because I think I was actually 19. I just didn't know I had access to or could get access to it. And there was $2,000 in there. Holy crap, I had a good weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We live and we learn.
Yeah.
I'm sort of excited for one day when my son does the same thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be Roni.
Yep.
Poor Roni.
In all seriousness, though, to give you a proper example, because it does actually have a bit of a lesson in the story, it would have been 2 years ago, actually. It was in May, which is coming up in a couple of days.
Can I just say, we have got other questions coming. I think...
Yeah, no, you're fine. I will.
This might be answer number 3, though.
Will it?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we... long story short, it was pouring rain. We were going out to dinner with friends. And my car was about 7 years old. Danielle's was probably 5. I was having some issues with my car coming home from around a golf that day. It was a Saturday night. And I thought, let's just take your car. It's pouring rain. Imagine if mine broke down. We got to the other end of town. Danielle's car, boom, engine goes. 5-year-old car, not going to name the brand because I don't want to get in trouble. And anyway.
I don't care. Can I name it? You message me.
Yeah.
No.
But anyway, we walk home in the rain, outfit's ruined, get in my car, go to dinner at Burleigh, come back. We're driving, I live in northern New South Wales. There is no street lights and there is cane fields after cane fields. We're driving through there and then boom, my transmission goes. 2 cars blown up in one weekend. Her car was about 4 months out of warranty. If you don't have an emergency fund, you can't fix this. But we were lucky we had an emergency fund and purchased a car for her, but we didn't have an emergency fund to buy 2 cars. So I did have to take out a car loan at the time. And sort all of that out. So that would be the worst decision, taking out a car loan, but it was by force. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good one. And I mean, that's kind of what they're there for, right? It's great that you have an option that you can lean on. Cool. Now, one, I guess, rather specific one for you, Riley.
Just to clarify, from the main episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in the main episode that you're not a fan of ongoing advice fees. Why don't you agree with that?
Yeah, so it is a mass generalization for everybody who's yelling at the screen right now. I'm not a big fan of it for a number of reasons. Now, the main reason for that is I think it's actually given advisors a bad name. So I've been sort of branded with the same label. I actually saw a comment on a friend of mine's, another advisor's post recently, that advisors are only good for leeching out ongoing fees, which I think couldn't be further from the truth. But the issue I have with ongoing fees is I'm a firm believer that if I'm not going to do something for you this year or in the next couple of years, why should you pay me, right? So in all seriousness, like if I'm working for you, pay me what I'm worth, and let's sort it out at the time. But I hate the idea of somebody who is in that stage of sticking to the plan, aka we don't need to change anything for the next few years. Why do I need to leech on and take a percentage-based fee of your assets or whatever it may be at the time? So not only am I against ongoing advice, I'm against percentage-based fees. Now, don't get me wrong, I get to the end of my 12-month engagement with plenty of people and they see a lot of value in the service I provide, whether they need a consultant, whether they need someone like a PT to catch up with them every month to make sure that they're on track because the stakes are high and they're in a very profitable business or whatever it may be. Those situations are completely different, right? If someone needs you there or wants you there, fantastic. But latching on and pretending like you're busy, that's what I have a problem with.
I think that's we have a mutual client, I think, does a certain arrangement, and to take their language that they've kind of told me, they enjoy having that accountability of you ongoing to push them to make the moves that they want, and it sped up a lot of the timelines of things that they were working to achieve, created a lot of clarity, removed a lot of anxiety around that conversation. And so I think there's a certain income level that ongoing, like, it makes sense, self-employed people, growing company, all that kind of stuff. And even not, like, if you pay, there are situations that make sense. Sure. I think the really cool thing from my perspective is you're driven by your own integrity on this situation, right? And so to hear, like, that is, I'm sure if we spoke to 3 advisors, we get 3 different results.
You would, absolutely.
I know if I speak to 3 brokers, I get 20 different responses. So the reality, though, I think, is just seeing that your integrity has led you down this position and it still has allowed you to be successful, help more people, create this stuff. I've seen, I think I said before in between, like, I've seen advisors who only do ongoing. They don't do one-off. And that's, some parts a business decision, some parts an advice decision. And then on the flip side, I've seen other advisors go, I just really love the one-off where we've got a big, thing that we've got to do a big cash injection, like, like that's a lot of fun. So I love doing that. There's all different reasons. And it's just, for me, when it comes to getting the right team around you, it's about, hey, who resonates with how you're trying to go about your life and is teaching you a little bit thing, not just trying to take money off you. It's exactly,
you hit the nail on the head there. There's really not much I could add to that.
Yeah. Good. Bindi.
Riley, we spoke offline a little bit about cost of living and that kind of stuff, and I think that's where you're going to go with this question. But my question is, what's the boring and unglamorous decision that you wish was the default?
Yeah, well, outside of planning, which we covered on the main episode, which everyone should tune into, it's without a doubt just sorting out your budget. It really sucks. It does highlight to you how much you need to earn and spend just to put a roof over your head, which isn't fun. I saw a person with the average salary written in $10,000 increments on a piece of paper, and what they did was they snipped the piece of paper and goes, there's tax, there's the average mortgage repayment, there's the average school fees, this is what you're left with, and it was this tiny little piece of paper. That's a great example.
But it's such an oversimplification.
It is an oversimplification, but it at least gets the average person to go, I should probably look at it, because a lot of people just don't bother. Like, honestly, 8 in 10 clients that I would meet with, comfortably 8 in 10, whether they're high income earner or not, they don't know what they can save and what they can spend, and just all these fundamental numbers. Now, you don't need to know it like the back of your hand. You don't need to stick to it like it's a chicken and rice diet. But your ability to create wealth is a function of what you can save. If you can't do the first thing, which is save, you can't invest, which means you can't create passive income, which means you'll be relying on your superannuation and the age pension to retire, which for generations that are retiring at the moment, that's all they had. So there's nothing on them. But for my generation, our generation, we've had super paid since you were 14. So for us, we have our other challenges in our demographic, but we need to get a hold on this. It's very easy to bury your head in the sand and just go, oh, it's too hard. And as I said, 8 in 10 people probably do. They go, too hard to do my budget, blame cost of living, read the paper, houses are too hard, whatever it is, right? But just doing something, even if you feel hopeless, just doing something is better than doing absolutely nothing. It really is.
Yeah, I think what you said in the main episode, you said something about, I think it was in the couples exercise bit around understanding what you can save and then what your goals are and how they marry up to each other. It's actually really cool because it like puts into perspective, if you can't do all the things that you want to do because your savings ability is not where it needs to be, you have the options of compromising or increasing income, like focusing on increasing income to be able to achieve all of those goals. And by just realising that one thing, you can stop yourself from going into debt unnecessarily, right? Because people, if their goals are all the priority and the income's not there, they will fall back on personal debt.
That's right. Yeah, I literally read in the Australian, which I only get that because I have my Amex, so I don't actually subscribe, so apologies. But read in the Australian yesterday.
Humble brag.
No, it's a work one.
It's because of my Amex.
It's a work one. Calm down. But the amount of people, like, we all know, you don't even need to read a news article to know that Afterpay, ZipPay, whatever is around at the moment, I can't keep track of them. They're through the roof, but they're actually now through the roof paying for fundamental things like insurance payments. Like, people aren't even paying cash for basic things like insurances and stuff. It used to be lounges and golf clubs in COVID. It's now, I need this to get by. You touched upon a really, really important thing. And I actually didn't learn this lesson in terms of someone telling it to me until about, 5 years ago. Okay. With what we spend, like if I was to draw a line and go, this is your base level of expenditure that you need. And over time with 2 to 3% inflation, it's closer to 4 at the moment, that's going to go up. You need that every single year just to eat. You can't really go below that. For the everyday middle class, low middle, whatever you are, you can only cut expenditure so much. Actually, your best bet, it's so hard to do, but your best bet is to try and increase your income. Because your income can go as high as it wants. Don't get me wrong. Tax isn't fun. And they need to do something about the tax brackets. But it's a lot easier to increase your income than to be on the poverty line and trying to cut expenses. And it's just a mentality change.
Yeah, I think you gave a much spicier response to that question when we discussed it last week, which was a lot of fun. But for me, it just comes down to 3 things. Analysing your spendings about needs, wants, savings. Yep. Like 50, 30, 20, I think is the rule. And actually part of our kind of regular check-in around finances and cash flow is what is a need, what is a want, and am I trying to use my children as blaming to turn that want into a need? That's genuinely the question we ask. And I honestly think, like, if you look at spending, to your point around Afterpay, ZipPay, everything there, I've done living expense analysis more so when, like, we just attract a different client at Funded, right? When I was in Bankland, anyone and everyone would call up, can I get a loan? And Bindi will be able to talk to this as well. But like I just look at them and go, there's 15 transactions this Wednesday, like last Wednesday, from Afterpay.
Yeah.
And it's like $3, $2, $8, and they've just afterpaid 20 things the day after pensions, parenting pensions come in, they've gone afterpaid everything at Target because it means they can, at first, they could buy 10 things they couldn't afford. Now they're in this cycle of they can't get out of it.
Yeah.
And to your point around reducing expenses, you can't go, well, I earn $1,000 this week. I'll just dump that all onto that because then you're going to snowball into collections on, defaulting on rent or like you've got to be just really, really honest with yourself around these expenses. And the cost of living, I feel, if it wasn't for ZipPay, and I will be on record saying this, I legitimately think things like Afterpay, ZipPay have increased the cost of living artificially because retailers have to cover the cost of those things. And so products have become more expensive. We're using it for more things and it's accepted in more places than ever before. So more retailers are having to increase their costs and that's snowballing. And it's just this cycle that we're just stuck in. And if we're more circumspect around how we use, because those are debt facilities, if we're more circumspect into that and going, actually, you know what, I will just forgo the carton of beer and not go and bet the $100 I don't actually have spare at the pub this weekend.
That's right.
We'd be doing much better. Like it's such small little margins we're playing with.
Yeah, and we've there's probably 100 nuggets of gold in what you just said there. But we talked earlier about a bucketing cash flow approach where you have different accounts. If you don't have those different accounts and you operate with one account and you just got your monthly pay and you're like, I'm rich. You know what I mean?
I tell all my clients quite often that Anna and I have for years actually, we did 3 accounts. Cash, which is our weekly, monthly, which is our bills, and yearly, which is our like big rego savings kind of account. Since having kids, and we've had a few circumstances where we've got a bit extra cash and stuff, so we opened up another kind of yearly, like a big emergency fund savings account to get that.
Yep.
And then just one of the big stresses with me starting a business was, how do I pay for groceries this month? Like that was a big thing. So we just opened a groceries account and that, like we pay each other both ourselves twice a month.
Yep.
Transfer money into that, set and forget. Done. Like don't rob Peter to pay Paul elsewhere. Just like, it's just exactly easy. Right. Use bank accounts as a tool.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. But as society's got more and more complex, you said it on the main episode, people just want and want and want. And if you're so used to clicking your fingers and just getting whatever you want at that point.
And I'm not approaching that conversation from a high horse. Bindi knows what comes into this office.
Yeah.
We spoke about it a little bit last week.
Yeah.
Ruin, did you have an unglamorous thing to add, Alex, or are you happy with?
I think I just echo that.
Riley, in the main episode you spoke about the chessboard, which was such a good... I don't play chess. It's actually on my list to learn. But I don't know...
What are you doing this up over
I followed along with that and I thought, this is a brilliant analogy for life. Like, I really, really related to it.
The pawn goes backwards, Bindi.
You mentioned there are 2 pieces that people play with regularly. First part of the question is, what are they? What's the low-hanging fruit that everyone can sort of understand? And then what are the sneaky pieces that people overlook?
Yeah. All right. 3 questions in one. I'll start with the first one. I like it. Let's keep it, you know what I mean, property and debt related. A lot of people that are listening in have an affinity or an interest in property, whether it's the family home or they've gone on the investment property journey. So, and I work a lot with property investors. Like 80% of my clients have either created wealth through property or are on that journey. For those quintessential property investors, before they've got me in their corner, they play with those 2 pieces. It is property, and then once they can't get any more property, they just sit there on their hands and just call the broker every month and go,
I knew what was coming.
Run another valuation. It's just like an addiction. Run another val. I need the equity. Let's go. And then they go, and let's say with their numbers, they could save 50 grand a year before they started this journey. They can now save 3. And then they go, we haven't had a holiday in 10 years. Birthday presents are a struggle. I've got 10 days worth of sick leave. So if anything actually happens, the bank doesn't care. Like, all those dominoes are going to fall, and you're not interested in insurance, and you can't afford insurance, which is a topic for another day. But it's really just going, all right, even if you're on that journey, I can guarantee the two chess pieces you're playing with, we just want to think about them a little bit differently. How does each one of those chess pieces have their own plan, but how do they fit into the holistic plan? Like, a lot of the time, if you think about it from a holistic view before you go on your property journey, just to keep the same theme, if you do the goals-based exercise that we talked about in the main episode, you'll realize that 3 years' time, we said we wanted to go to Japan, and that's an $8,000 holiday. Well, if you go and get that next property down in Hoppers Crossing, there's no more holiday in 2 years' time. So it allows you to think about that and have the conversation with your partner beforehand. I would also say, from a chessboard perspective, in terms of what gets neglected, which is sort of along the lines of your question, once you become obsessed with one or two pieces, you really do throw, like, to use a racehorsing analogy, like the blinkers are on. You're not seeing what's around you. So if your budgeting's good and you're starting to create wealth, then you got property, then you got debt. The last thing a property investor wants Riley to talk to him about is their super, which is tax-free once you're retired, by the way. Your properties aren't going to be tax-free. They're going to be even less tax efficient once all this stuff goes through. And then your wills. 9 out of 10 property investors I speak with, I'm like, do you have your will and your power of attorney? They go, well, what's a power of attorney? Well, like, I don't have a will. And I go, well, what's your 3-year-old going to do when they inherit $4 million worth of property?
Yeah.
Nothing, right? So, yeah, that holistic view is really, really important. But unfortunately, you use the analogy in the main episode, you actually need to have a bit of knowledge in every single area. Lucky for me, I do have a bit of an academic background in a few different areas. But if your advisor doesn't have that circle of competence around the estate planning, you need to go and get the advice elsewhere. Yeah.
I'm really enjoying how he remembered what I said, because I don't. I was like, that's just right. I was like, yeah. I was legitimately just like, oh yeah. Thank you.
I listen to you.
Cheers. I don't listen to myself, so it's always a surprise.
Neither do I. I'll forget what I said.
Yeah, cool. I think that's interesting, right? Because one of the things we do, and I readily will acknowledge that it seems some property investors are just addicted to it. And they're just like, bam, 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 bam. And you and I have independently, like, on clients' portfolios, looked at it, and I've looked at it and gone, this is an odd portfolio, and let your expertise, like, I'm not the expert judge on how good a portfolio is, but sometimes I've looked at mutual clients and just gone, interesting. Some interesting decisions there.
Some new business.
Yeah.
You're like,
it's just always like, sometimes I've got a quick win elsewhere. Let's just snowball this very quickly. One of the things we try to do, I'd love to get your thoughts on this, is we've got a strategy for property investors. I don't know if I've told you this. We look at it. So if someone's borrowing capacity is 1.5, right? They've got total borrowing capacity. I'll look at that and go, actually, if we buy 2 well-performing assets at 800, we can fit that. We can extend that to 1.6 total, because above $1 million, you're probably getting poorer yields. There's a whole, actual rationale that isn't professional opinion. It's personal knowledge. Just need to clarify. We had a meeting with our risk guy from our aggregator. And so it's really interesting from my perspective to see those. And quite often there's always, 100, like, once you do that activity, there's 100,000 or so borrowing capacity that can never be leveraged into anything, right? And sometimes I'll put a bit of note, like, you might be able to work with a financial advisor around debt recycling long term. There's a lot of buffers in borrowing around HEM, household expenditure measure. You've got things like interest rate, assessment rates are higher, 2.5% higher, all that kind of jazz.
Yep.
But you as a financial planner, are you looking, that is access to the emergency fund? Like, is that your, like, that's how we're going to build your cash flow buffer over time? Or are we going, let's utilize absolutely everything that's available?
Well, my preference is to keep the emergency fund for emergencies. And
I guess the main point, just to elaborate a little bit, borrowing capacity, in my mind, translates into a cash flow buffer in your personal budget.
100%. Yeah. And the more debt you take on, the more you use leverage, the more of a buffer you need.
Yep.
I see property investors with 10 grand in the bank, and I go, oh, like you lose your tenant and you're in trouble here. And they go, oh, am I? Like, yeah. But you touched upon some really, really good points there. Like at the end of the day, I want to see the cash flow buffer stay a cash flow buffer. If you've got to dip into it a touch to get the deal over the line, so be it, right? But normally as well, once somebody's gone tick, I've got 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in their cash flow buffer, and then whatever they were putting into that, if it's $400 or $500 a week or just whatever the number is based on that household, they normally don't need to if they really thought about the future. You made an amazing point there around borrowing capacity, and so many people are just like, blinkers on, what's the next property, then what's the next property, and what's the next property. I get so many people that are sitting on their hands because the broker come back and gone, borrowing capacity is 300 grand, and they go, I can't buy property, so I'm just going to sit here and sulk. I'm just going to sit here and wait. And then if they're like if they owned all their property, like let's say they own a property in, I don't know, Tassie and Adelaide or something, and they haven't moved in terms of vals for whatever reason, they might sit there for 5 years and then go, I think I should sell this. Whereas there's always something we can do to bring it back to the original question. Like if you're taking that chessboard view, okay, well maybe while you wait, rather than paying down your investment loan, which is completely inefficient, maybe we make a tax deductible super contribution. Like you're earning 135 grand. If I put money in super, instead of paying 32% tax, you're going to pay 15. That's a 17% return. There's something I can do this year.
If you're self-employed, I can use that income long term. Like I can actually add that back from financials. And I think
that's going to help with that.
Like, there's this whole, like actually long term, you've done something with your money. And back to a concept Bindi and I have been unpacking a lot around stewardship. I think it's a really important concept. For me, I don't, like, sure, there's new things always under the sun, but there's a lot of old concepts that are a reminder of ancient principles that I think are really important. One of those things is stewardship, and actually taking that step back and going, how do I manage this money and this business income that is coming through? The reality from my perspective is you've got this money coming through. I'm doing what I can with it now before the borrowing capacity is right there. At the same time, I'm looking, to your earlier point, to increase my income and take that to the next level. And when it's at that next level, the borrowing capacity is preserved, the business income, everything's taken that next step, and it all just works out. Yeah. Right?
You made some great points. So on the ancient principles, for anybody that's listening in, there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. It was quite literally written like 100 years ago. It's a very small book. It is one of my favorite books. It is.
I really need to read that, actually.
An unbelievable book. You can read it on a plane flight. It is like,
ironically, mine was a Bible reference.
There you go. Yeah.
So like,
well, this is like the, you know what I mean, the Babylonian Bible of making money. But that's an unbelievable book. But you made a great point. Like, just to piggyback off you there, borrowing capacity is going to run out for every property investor, every mum and dad, whatever it is. Your borrowing capacity is limited, and it depends on the bank policy at the time. And we'll take second tier lenders and all that stuff out of it, but it's capped. A really good thing about taking that bird's eye view is going, I've got the team around me, and Alex has said that my borrowing capacity is 1.5. I'm buying 2 properties with my buyer's agent in the next 12 months. What do I do after that? Because so many people, as I said, it just punches them in the face and they just rattle. They couldn't fathom that they can't get more property. But at least if you know, hey, that's coming in 2027, you're starting to get over it and thinking, all right, super contributions. Maybe I'm investing in my trust or in my partner's name who earns less. Maybe we sort the wills once we buy the properties.
Yeah, good answers. What's the financial behaviour that looks smart but isn't?
There's so many, and they actually go with fads. So we had a little bit of a rant about like following trusts and things like that. The financial behavior that is timeless is just, I won't hash on it too long, but it is basically living above your means or lifestyle creep kicking in. I got the pay rise, so now I've got
keeping up with the Joneses.
Lease.
It keeps coming back.
Yeah, it's just common sense. Like at the end of the day, as I joked about Alex's car, like Danielle's the same. We ask ourselves, is it a want or is it a need? A Mustang for her being 38 weeks pregnant is a want. But
can I just say, I take twins to daycare every day in that car. It's
and
a
he does
perfect
look a
family
little
car.
bit ridiculous.
It is a little bit embarrassing opening up and just watching these two curly-haired little girls just jump out.
That's the cool dad.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, it's a combination of things. I would say it is like it's genuinely following just podcasts and social media advice. I am seeing
Blindly.
blindly
The right podcasts, we're here.
Yeah.
Listen.
At the end of the day, we're not here giving advice as
No.
well, with just giving a 2-second disclaimer and then just basically giving advice. But
Yeah.
I am seeing so many people come to me, and when I say so many, it's not like every second person, but it's a lot more than what it was 5-6 years ago. People just opening SMSFs. Like I'm a specialist. A couple of our other advisors are specialists with the SMSF Association. There is a time and a place for a self-managed super fund. It's probably 1 in 100 people that it actually is in your best interest at that moment to go and open an SMSF. It is not just because you ran out of borrowing capacity and like that's the
we
next
had
amount
this
of money I
discussion
can get.
recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't follow the
Yeah.
fads would be my answer to that.
I think for me, it seems every year there's just another thing popping up around. This is how I got rich and I owned, and like I've got some books over there where it's like this is the pathway, and really the reason, like the pathway and how I bought 25 properties and and I'm like, okay, they're all in Broken Hill, move on. Yeah. And I bought it because I legitimately wanted to read it to understand where the holes were and where a lot of this thinking was. And those guys, I think they're probably about 10 years old, where, you know, they hustled really hard. They bought a bunch of cheap properties. They've ridden a wave that no one saw coming. And like it's, you know,
lows.
now I'm an expert. Yeah. And I think that whole kind of bro finance is literally why this podcast exists. It's because I saw a lot of people out there watching what was happening on the internet, reacting, FOMO, all this kind of stuff. And this market we're in at the moment, you know, like to context, we're recording this in April, late April, with fuel, you know, the war in Iraq, post-Easter. Like there's all this kind of noise. Politics is starting to ramp up for the next, like it's all this noise, and the fair weather investors are the first that like freak out. The guys that have a plan or are disciplined around stuff are the ones who just execute.
Calculated risk.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, I'm in this for 20 years. Why do I care what's happening around a CGT thing that may or may not happen at a budget event that's probably going to be changed when Pauline Hanson apparently becomes Prime Minister, which is a whole nother discussion, which we're definitely not going to go through in this podcast because I do not want to scratch that. But like there's just all this noise. To kind of, and it's like, hey, let's just do the basics well. Let's look at cash flow, make sure we can afford it, add a buffer into the situation. You can create generational wealth by investing into super well, paying down your home loan, paying it off, buying 1 or 2 investment properties, and you and the next generation is set up. Like it doesn't have to be I'm the next Jake Paul.
It's not rocket science.
You don't need to do a crypto dump to... it's frustrating.
And to elaborate on that a little bit, I talk about it with my clients. There's, for the average everyday person who's not a business owner, there's 4 pillars of wealth. And if you do if you do all 4 right, put your feet up and enjoy life. First pillar is a family home. Completely CGT-free asset, completely exempt once you get to the pointy end of things where you got government benefits and age pensions. You can have a $10 million home, no other assets, you'll get a full age pension. It's crazy. Family home, debt-free by retirement. The next thing, using leverage in some way, shape or form. So let's just say that's a couple of investment properties to keep the theme there. You know what I mean? You live in New South Wales, you maybe got one up in Brizzy, you got one down in Melbourne, you've got the 3 main capital cities. Yeah, Melbourne's in the toilet at the moment, Brizzy's doing really well. Fine. The next one from there is liquidity. You know that you cannot access your super and you can't sell the garage on your investment property when you need $100,000 because of whatever happened. So maybe you got an investment portfolio that you got your emergency fund, so your $400 a week or whatever goes into there. That'll take ages to build compared to property, but it will get there. You get to 57, you got $500,000, put your feet up, all good. The last one is your super. That's not sexy. It's locked away. For most people, they just switch the brain off when it's there, but it's there for everyone and it's there for a reason. That is tax-free when you retire. If I'm retiring as of 1 July, myself and Danielle, if we're a bit older, can have $2.1 million in that tax structure tax-free. Between $2.1 and $3 million, that gap there is 15% tax. If I got $4 million, I get a little 15% tax on the earnings on top. But 99% of households aren't even getting halfway to what their super could be tax-free. So like Alex said there, if you're just playing that chessboard view, a lot of the time, if you've got 4 or 5 properties with debt and you're about to retire, sell 1, 2, the worst ones, pay off the debt, put the money in super over a staged process. And on $2 million in super, if you're getting a 10% return, 210 grand tax-free, 7.5% return, you got 3 grand a week coming in your pocket and like with no headache. So you just need to take that sort of staged approach.
And that's without arguing whether you're going to draw down and pensionise 7 or 3%.
That's exactly right.
That's just, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, simple, timeless concepts. A lot of people, like you use the crypto example there. I talk to my clients about building a cake. It's really simple, but we've all built a cake. You build the cake first, then you add the icing, then you add the decorations. The decoration is crypto and then your gold and silver and all that sort of stuff. If you're coming to me and you've got no other assets, but you've got 40 grand worth of gold bars in the wardrobe. I actually had a client with 6 figures worth of gold in the wardrobe, didn't own another thing at all. That's not good. You've got heaps of decorations and no cake. We need to build the cake first.
Yeah, when I was 18, 19, I had a friend trying to convince me to start buying pocket watches off eBay like his dad or father-in-law was. I can't remember which one. Yeah. And I never did because I just couldn't figure out. But he's like, yeah, I'm buying pocket watches to tear the silver out of them and break them down. So I'm going to be investing into super. And that's the type of stuff that crypto guys are doing now. Like that is the same linear.
Most niche things.
Like it's crazy. Yeah.
Hail
I
Mary.
completely forgot about that. I'm going to text Matt after this.
He name drops as well.
Yeah.
Whack.
All right. You mentioned in the main episode that multiple offset accounts are a huge win, and I totally agree. I'm someone who uses so many offset accounts for my budgeting. And I think part of my strategy, at least, is that I'm happy to pay slightly higher interest for a banking platform that works really well for me. Is there other things in your world that you see that sort of trade-off, like whether it be super insurance or all that kind of thing? Is there trade-offs like that come up in your world a lot?
Yeah, well, in most of your sort of chess pieces on the board, there's going to be trade-offs in some way, shape or form. To keep the theme property focused, given it's sort of the theme of the day, a lot of the time I'm seeing LMI become more and more of a discussion piece. Like deposits are percentage based, and when you're chasing a very fast moving target, a lot of the time it's pretty hard to get to a 20% deposit compared to your parents' day where the house was 70 grand. You could get to the deposit. Like if you're looking at a $2 million purchase in a capital city, pretty hard to get a 20% deposit, right? So LMI is becoming more and more of a discussion. And I have seen, not so much in the last couple of years, but traditionally I was seeing a lot of people there who were just obsessed with saving the traditional 20% deposit because that's what mum and dad said, save your 20%.
No, it's what Scott Pape said.
Yeah, and yeah, I won't name drop. But
you already did.
A lot of places, yeah. A lot of places, and just people in general have said, do that, save your $10,000 LMI. But by the time you've saved your $10,000 LMI, that house with the 40 people at the first open home's up 50 grand. Now, that's a philosophical discussion for another day, but a lot of the time, ripping the Band-Aid off, just cop the LMI, get into the property. It's going to provide you with more security, or if it's an investment growth, like working with your broker to figure out the optimal deposit is going to be the best way to go.
I think there's a couple interesting points in there because you and I, Bindi, we learnt to lend with someone as our leader who was not afraid of LMI and just awesome. But the 5% deposit has kind of made us forget the government schemes, the Australian federal government, whatever they've called it now, the first home bonus guarantee scheme.
They'll relabel it.
Yeah.
The political ploy.
Yeah. They, like, that has kind of made us forget about LMI a little bit.
Yeah.
which has been interesting. The fascinating thing from my perspective is, like in let's just use, Brisbane as an example. $1 million the cap was raised to. Suddenly everyone was offering up to what they could borrow up there. It wasn't so much that people were afraid of borrowing $1 million and paying LMI. I think it's just the LMI costs more, and it robs your borrowing capacity because the interest rates go up, which is very different to how we entered, or the environment that we entered lending into. Like, it was all the same rate up to 90%, and then it was slightly higher. So it's just interesting, the perceived higher risk of an LMI deal, whereas everyone's pretty much doing LMI deals with the government guaranteeing it now anyway. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And even people that are, building out property portfolios and things like that. I've worked with plenty of clients over the years that have multiple investment properties, and this is a little rant. They come to me for advice on whether it's debt recycling or whatever it may be, right? They are a doctor with extremely low financial literacy, and they get an LMI waiver up to 90-95%. And then myself, who's the advisor that's legally allowed to give advice on these strategies, I don't get the LMI waiver. So that makes me a little bit sad. Just a little drop in there, a little rant. So I have to pay the LMI, but
put your
they
hand
don't.
up who didn't use an LMI waiver to buy a property in this room. Bindi, for the record, is not putting her hand up. We we're bank staff.
Yeah.
No, but also, like,
Anna,
my wife is a physio. She gets one up to 90. So
yeah. So we need. I think we need to, for anyone that's listening in that has pulling power in this area, we do need to really revisit that. I advise lawyers, doctors, surgeons.
I really hope no one in this area is listening to it, because then we're in trouble with our. Yeah.
Just tune out.
Yep. Yeah. Is LMI tax deductible if you use it to purchase an investment property?
As far as I'm aware, it's not tax deductible off your income because it's a capital expense. So, as I said, I'm not an accountant, so if I'm wrong here, but what can happen is any expense that you incur to buy the property, whether it be buyer's agent, LMI, it'll actually go on the cost base. So if you buy for $500, you spend $30,000 in costs, it'll $530 later. So, but some people fall into the trouble, and I do see things that are a bit misleading where, no, you cannot go and claim that $12,000 expense against your income that year. That's definitely not how it works.
One of the fascinating things, we did this with a client recently, we actually got a 50% reduction at 12 months mark, because we were able to value it at a point when refinance it out.
Yep.
We got them 50% reduction on the initial LMI because it had gained enough equity to get out of that. Which
did that just come off the loan balance? Or how did that work? Once they got
it was refunded to them in cash.
Refunded, wow.
Yeah, because we refinanced elsewhere, and then that was the vehicle.
Okay.
So normally I think it would be off the loan balance or the principal, but yeah.
And this is the importance of having a team. I'm not a mortgage broker or a debt specialist, so that's why we have you here.
That's not something I promised them would happen, but it was something I was aware of.
Yep.
And I think it's the only time we valued a property under 12 months, like out of our normal 6-month cycle that Bindi does reviews for clients, because I was aware that could be a possibility.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a very Queensland-centric thing at the moment, though, with capital growth.
Yeah. Well, you're experiencing it.
Yeah.
Riley, I feel like this one will be an easy one for you, because in your business you're very structured around longer term wealth for people and looking into the future. And I feel like whenever something is so far away and we move out of that instant gratification space, it's emotionally difficult for people to do. But what's a financial decision that's technically right, but almost emotionally impossible to make?
Yeah, there's a lot, to be honest. There really is.
Everything.
Yeah, there's a lot. And you've really got to separate emotions from rationality, and that's sometimes why getting a second opinion can work. With the theme of the main episode, I would say it's actually getting rid of the first home a lot of the time. I see a lot of people, if they're upgrading from their first home, which was the 3-bed, 1-bath place, that they have this extreme sentimental value with. Maybe they had their kids in it, and they, like, I just want to keep it, I want to rent it out. No, like, unfortunately, one day someone's going to live in that property and just rip the Band-Aid off, and maybe that's the right thing to do if the numbers stack up. Sometimes as well, particularly for the generation that is sort of 65 to 75 at the moment, they didn't have a lot of super as well. It wasn't around for the vast majority of their life, and it also wasn't necessarily policed if their employer didn't pay it. So for them, a big strategy is downsizing. And sometimes it can be really hard to let go of that forever property, or the property that you thought was a forever property that you raised your family in, to move to something that suits your needs. And mathematically, it's exactly what you need, but emotionally, you just can't bear it. Like, my mother said that we're taking her out of her house in a cardboard box. They live one street away from the beach in something that they bought for $300,000 that's worth millions today.
She could at least say pine box.
Yeah. Won't spend that much on her.
Goodness. I know my mum's going to listen to it, so I won't make a similar joke because she will take it seriously. Yeah. I honestly think it's just telling your kids no these days.
That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Massive one.
Yeah. It's hard. Like, yeah. 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 And like, we quite often, we've got a hack, Anna and I. It's not a hack, but what we've learned is we don't need a full Macca's meal, Anna and I, to be full. And so the girls will just want chips. And then you'll get, we'll just get you a Happy Meal, and you'll get 2 Happy Meals, and then you get 2 meals each, and suddenly it's $60. Like, it's so expensive. And I think for us, what we've learned is, like, if we're genuinely hungry, and that's a legitimate question, like, if we're genuinely hungry, we will share a big arch meal. That's kind of what we're enjoying at the moment from Macca's, a little bit behind the peak on the Watsons. And the girls will get chips, little small chips each. Maybe if they've been really good, which is not often, they will get a Happy Meal. But like, it's just, we could spend 60, and if you're doing that 4 times a month, like, what is that snowballing into over an hour? Like, it just all adds up.
It's no longer a treat.
No, it's a habit. It's a rhythm.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. So I just think, honestly, these days, just how do you breed resilience and long-term financial well-being if nothing's ever said no to your kids? And I say that with all the authority of 4-year-olds. Yeah. So we'll see. But also, actually, with someone who had horrendous financial habits, not for my parents' blame, just to clarify, because again, Mum will defend herself if she listens to this. I will get text messages. But it was just like, I was like, I've got money, to our earlier Dolomites discussion. Let's go spend it like on a weekend. So the GPO was very expensive that weekend for Alex Watson. Well, mate, thank you so much. This has been Poor Decisions.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a privilege.
Brilliant. Let's go.